Nobody believes in Asta, not the world, not the system, sometimes not even the people closest to him. But he believes in himself with a level of intensity that doesn't stop. He trains harder, pushes further, refuses to quit, no matter how impossible it looks. And at some point, that stops being motivation and starts becoming obsession. In this video, we're breaking down what the desire to be great really does to a person and what it costs to keep chasing it. Like and subscribe, then let's get started. Before we can talk about Asta's obsession, we have to understand what he's obsessed in spite of. Clover Kingdom runs on magic, not as a hobby, not as a talent, as the entire social order. Where you are born, what you become, how people treat you, all of it is determined by how much mana flows through your body. Nobles have it in abundance, commoners have enough to scrape by, and the Forsaken, the peasants at the bottom, the villages nobody visits, they get the scraps of scrap. Asta was born in the Forsaken realm, abandoned at a church as an infant, raised with nothing except the other kids nobody wanted. And on top of all of that, on top of being poor, on top of being an orphan, on top of coming from the most ignored corner of the kingdom, Asta was born without a single drop of magic. Not low magic, not weak magic, none. In a world where magic is literally everything, he has nothing. So when Asta stands up at the Magic Knight's entrance exam, in front of nobles, in front of captains, in front of everyone who has been handed what he was denied, and announces he's going to be the Wizard King, they don't just doubt him, they laugh. And here's what's important, they're not wrong to doubt. By every measurable standard, by every rule the world has ever operated on, Asta has no path to greatness. He just refuses to accept that. It would be easy to frame Astuha's ambition as pure underdog motivation, the little guy who dreamed big, inspirational poster stuff, but there's something darker underneath it, and the show doesn't hide it. Asta doesn't just want to become Wizard King because it sounds like a great goal. He wants it because the world told him, explicitly, repeatedly, from birth, that people like him don't matter. He grew up watching the nobles treat commoners as furniture, watching the kingdom system reward those who were already born into advantage and grind down everyone else, watching good people suffer because of a circumstance they never chose. The dream of becoming Wizard King isn't just personal ambition, it's a declaration. It's Asta saying, I will become the most powerful person in this system that discards people like me. Not to join that system, but to break it open from the inside. That's a different kind of hunger than wanting to be famous or wanting to prove yourself. That's fury that's been given a direction. And fury, when it's channeled right, can do extraordinary things, but channeled wrong, that's where obsession starts. Here's the thing most people miss about Asta: the screaming, the announcing his dreams to everyone who didn't ask, the relentless, loud optimism. None of that is the real story. The real story is what he does before sunrise. Since age 5 years old, Asta has been training every single day. No magic to power him forward, so he built his body into something that could compensate. By the time the story starts, he has physical strength and stamina that most trained Magic Knights can't match. That didn't happen overnight. That happened over 10 years of getting up before everyone else, pushing past the point of exhaustion, going to bed knowing he was still behind, and doing it all again tomorrow. Nobody told him to do this. Nobody was watching. Nobody gave him a reward or a system or a mentor who saw the potential and shaped it carefully. He just decided at 5 years old, before he fully understood what he was deciding, that giving up was not something he was willing to do. That kind of discipline is genuinely remarkable. There's no other word for it, but there's a question underneath it that the show lets sit quietly for a long time. What does it cost to be that person? What do you sacrifice when your entire identity is built around a goal that the world insists is impossible? For most of the series, Asta's confidence reads as bulletproof. He gets knocked down, he gets back up, he smiles, he yells, he gets knocked down again. But there's a crack in all of that, and the show is careful about when it shows it to you. Asta has an inferiority complex, a deep, mostly buried one. Not about his dream, he never doubts that, but about himself, about whether he, specifically, the kid with no magic, is actually worth what he claims to be worth. Whether the gap between him and between him and the gifted, between him and the world is just too wide to ever close. He doesn't process this out loud. He doesn't cry about it or ask for help. He takes it and buries it back under the training, under the noise, under the next goal. And that's a very specific kind of pain. The pain of someone who has decided that stopping to feel something is the same as losing. That the only acceptable response to doubt is to outwork it. Problem is, you can't outwork a feeling. You can outrun it for a while, but it follows you. Asta only truly resolves this when he finally does what he'd been avoiding. He stops comparing himself to the talented and starts accepting that his path is his own. That not having magic isn't a flaw he needs to compensate for. It's just the condition he operates under. It doesn't make him less. It's a small shift on the surface. Underneath it, it's everything. We can't talk about Asta's obsession without talking about Yuno. Because Yuno is the other half of it. They grew up together, they made a promise together, both of them would become Wizard King, and they'd be rivals on the way there. It sounds like a sweet childhood moment, but look at what that promise actually does to Asta. Every time Yuno gets stronger, and Yuno gets stronger fast because Yuno is a natural genius, because Yuno was born with the kind of talent that makes the world easy, Asta measures himself against it. Yuno doesn't use this cruelly. He doesn't taunt Astu or diminish him. The rivalry is genuine. Yuno respects Asta in his own cold, quiet way, but Asta can't fully separate Yuno from the question of whether he's enough. What's beautiful and painful about this is that Yuno's existence makes Asta better. The rivalry is real, and it works. Asta pushes further because Yuno is out there pushing too, but it also means Asta never fully gets to exist outside the comparison. His dream and his benchmark for that dream are always tied to the same person. That's not a flaw in the story. That's an honest portrayal of what it looks like when desire for greatness becomes intertwined with someone else's greatness. The goal stops being just yours, and that makes it harder and somehow more human. Let's be honest about what Asta gives up. He has almost no life outside of the mission. His arms get crushed. He's told he'll never swing a sword again. He doesn't grieve it. He immediately starts looking for a way around it. The loss doesn't even get to land before he's already in motion toward the solution. That's not just resilience. That's a person who has trained themselves out of the ability to stop. And the show understands this. It doesn't present Asta's relentlessness as purely inspirational. There are moments, quiet ones, easy to miss, where you see the toll, the loneliness of never being able to let something be hard, the exhaustion underneath the noise, the way people around him are moved by his spirit precisely because they can see the cost of it in a way he can't. Greatness, the show is saying, doesn't come free, not even for the ones who choose it most completely. But here's the turn. For all the cost, something else happens around Asta that wouldn't happen any other way. People get back up. Veto, a devil who feeds on despair, who has broken every opponent he's ever faced, calls Asta something extraordinary. He calls him a demon who devours even despair. Because Asta doesn't just refuse to give up. His refusal is so total, so genuine, so completely without performance that it changes the shape of the room. It reaches people who have already decided the fight is over and makes them doubt that decision. Noelle finds her power in moments when Asta is there. The Black Bulls, misfits that nobody else wanted, become something real, in part because their captain chose them. And Asta treats every single one of them like they matter. The desire to be great, in Asta's case, doesn't just produce a great person. It produces a gravitational field. People orbit it, find warmth in it, remember what they wanted before they gave up wanting it. That's not something you can plan for. That's what happens when the obsession is clean, when the desire is pointed at something real, something beyond just you, something that the world will be better for having. Nobody believes in Asta. That's the beginning of the story, but it's not the end. Because what Asta figures out, slowly, painfully, through broken arms and inferiority he won't name, and a dream that outlasts everyone's mockery, is that the desire to be great isn't really about becoming something. It's about refusing to accept that the world's ceiling is your ceiling. It's about the kid who was told he didn't matter, deciding, somewhere deep and quiet, that he would spend his life proving otherwise. Not for the title, not for the recognition. For everyone else who was told the same thing and believed it. Asta doesn't just want to be the Wizard King. He wants to be the proof. That's what the desire to be great actually costs and what it builds when it's real. Drop a comment. Is Asta's drive inspiring to you? Or does it read more like an obsession? I want to know where you land on it. I write a newsletter where I go even deeper on stuff like this. Real psychology concept, anime breakdowns, and things that didn't make the cut for the video. Link is in the description. It's free. Check it out. If you like this breakdown, the next video goes even deeper. Subscribe so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.